Hey guys, what's up? Let's go do a little bit of hunting. Alright. I am here. Stand right there. Hey Chris, how's it going? Well, it's good to hear. Oh man, I haven't played this game in a while. I'm gonna have to relearn everything now. Oh, quite a few months, I would say. I did see that they had some expansions and stuff pop in. It's nice that my mod port still works. The video one. Sweet, a new map?
I spotted some tracks earlier, close to
Heck
where
yeah.
you're at right now. I'll send the coordinates.
Shoot that thing. Off to a rough start already. New Zealand, huh? What the fuck was that? Alright, should be able to track that one at least. Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see what they're gonna have in the New Zealand one. Well, he didn't go far at all. Well, she didn't. Look at that. Look at that shot. Right in the old chest thumper. They're still doing pressure zones, I think. Something. Chris, if you're still in the chat, what is that? Like a freaking seagull or something. Oh, okay. That looks different. Back here. Grab all my stuff. Alright, so my 270. That's not what I have. Just 270 and this guy. Oh, here, I'll show you. This is what the transitions look like for this theme. Yeah, it's a lot better than what I had before. I never had animated transitions. Alright, I'm gonna just grab that. That. We're gonna move to somewhere not in this place. Moose are fun to kill, but I don't know. I'm a deer guy, so I might actually just. Yeah, they marked that finally. That's that second black bear. West or whatever it is. I think I still have $50 worth of DLCs to download for this, or to purchase. But I did pre-order Cyberpunk tonight, so I'm pretty much tapped out on spending anyway. At least on games. That spot. Moose. Pressure zone. With jackrabbits. There's some deer tracks that a lot of mint here. Drop the stand and then drop the tent and then go find that one deer spot that's like south of the map. Check it out. Lame. Where have the animals gone? That way. Let's go this way. Alright, sounds good, Chris. Go right towards this thing. I know where I'm going, I swear to God I do. Going up this hill, that's where I'm going. Side of this lookout tower. Trees. That's kind of new. There, we got a whole bunch of moose tracks down here. I'm looking for deer tracks. No, you don't. that, you son of a bitch. Eat those things. Tracks, moose tracks. You know, something's gonna run out and hit me. Time. The next thing I get, I'm gonna get a new keyboard. Rare tracks. Coyote. Duck stuff around here. Get to it eventually. Throw up that right here. And closer. But let's get back on the road. Get this on the hill and I'm gonna ditch it. It's a good place to park that. Alright. See if we can get anything to come out. I should get one of these in real life. Can't see it. You can see it around in the trees, but sun is not on my side. See him now. Does it have horns? The doe. Bear. Just a regular bear. We're gonna have to wait until I can see something. Can't see crap right now. I could turn off the filters and... Oh, there comes some sun. I want to see like some bucks come through here, but a lot of ducks in that water. Stand is too close. Where was he at? He was like right next to the stand too. Grab all the stuff, we'll move it to a different location. But we're out in the middle of the water. That makes sense. Right where I should be. here. Alright. Some wildlife over here. I doubt I'm gonna see anything in this spot because there isn't a whole lot for tracks around here. That's a pretty far shot, so we'll see. Oh, I did get him. Right through the top of the lung. There. The always shit around this river. A little buck. One in the back there. The moose walking over here. There he is. There. Okay. Yeah, I got the doe in front of him. Definitely killed something. I'm gonna bring my stand with. Better not leave that, or I'll freaking lose it or something, or a tree will fall on it. Looking for a blood spot. There it is. Alright. Ready to go, George. Guessing this way. There's a doe. Nope, that is. Oh, look at that. Back there. Did I hit them both? Go check and see if I hit them both. Hey Death, how's it going? Yeah, it's been a while. Jump on my Discord so I can test and see if my audio is working. The little guy. No, there you are. I can see you on it. Say something once. There, I'm not muted now. Can you hear me?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right.
Okay. Well, where the fuck your ass been at?
Oh man, so much stuff.
Like you were so MIA that I left your Discord server because I thought you died or something. I was like, oh, that's sad.
Thought I got COVID.
Did you
No,
get COVID?
no. Thank God.
I mean, I had COVID. Me and my fiance did back in
Okay.
July, like end of July, beginning of August.
Hmm.
It wasn't that bad. She lost her taste and smell for a bit, and I had a fever. Like, I mean, I guess we're young and we're healthy, so and only like slightly overweight, so we didn't die from it. So that's cool.
Yeah, you're lucky.
No,
No,
yeah, 100%. Like it could have been a lot worse.
no, I stepped away from streaming because one thing, the games were kind of getting a little bit bleh, you know?
Yeah.
And then my computer kept freaking out on me. Every time I'd stream, it would hard shut off on me.
Did you change your power supply?
Yep.
Did it fix it?
Yep.
Want to hear some shit?
You had the same
I got
problem?
a I got a power supply coming in the mail because of that shit.
Yep.
So like my old power supply that I've had for like the last 8 years was an EVGA like 850 watt like platinum. But I guess so many like thunderstorms or whatnot just completely killed it. So like I tore down my server and I've been using the shitty the shitty like secondhand like Chinesium power supply.
Oh no.
And so I've got one coming in the mail that should be here by Tuesday.
Okay, okay.
Because I have an issue where like I guess if it gets a little bit too overloaded and it'll just have I think it has to do more with heat than anything.
Yep.
This power supply with the graphic card and everything else going, it will occasionally just shut down my computer. Like and it doesn't shut down the computer, I just lose my graphics card.
Oh,
So I've got another one coming. It'll be here like Tuesday.
yeah, mine was really weird. Like I had a whole bunch of just shit going on. Like, um, my hold on, let me place this tent down. Can't place a tent, talk, think at the same time. There we go. No, like my CPU. Hey, Sandman, how's it going? My CPU would freaking have random heat spikes. Here, Death, I'm gonna. Do you care if I stream you into the stream or no?
You could do what?
If I stream you into the stream?
No, that's fine. People can hear my voice. I don't give a fuck. I got
Alright.
a sexy voice, bitches. You're gonna get like 5 more followers.
Well, I don't want people thinking I'm crazy.
No.
Alright, there.
A party of 9. Jesus.
Holy shit. Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for stopping in. Awesome. Hey, thanks for the follow. Hey, thanks for the raid. Yeah, it's gonna get busy in here now. Yeah, I was getting these random like heat spikes, and my CPU would jump from like 20 degrees with a liquid cooler to like 70. And I was like, something is not right. And
I wonder if so. Like, yeah, that power supply. Why was it pushing so much voltage to where it would cause your CPU to spike?
right, yeah, it was really weird.
Like-
it's going reefer. It kind of slim pickings right now, but they pick up a few bucks here.
I just want to call out. I would totally like change the Streamlabs about the whole spamming thing, Reefer, but I don't know how. I've got like that little thingy next to my name, but I don't know how to use it.
Oh. Hey, thanks for the follow. Yeah, it was crazy, and that wasn't even the worst part. Like, I even dropped my Corsair cooler, and I put a double radiator in it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So like I switched because I remember last time we talked, you were like super hyped about getting that water cooler. So that's the thing about water. Actually like after we'd ended up like the last time we really talked, that was like back when like Final Fantasy just came out.
Yeah.
I switched from a water cooler to an air cooler because
Hey,
like
Bender.
water coolers are great, but there's variability to them. There's too many extra variables in it, so I just switched to an air cooler.
So I went as far as I dropped a single rad, went to a double. I swapped my case, went to a whole new case. I had, which actually probably hurt me in the end because I actually added 3 more additional fans. And then, so I was fighting with the heating issue. I repasted my CPU, everything, and then my GPU was also having issues where it would just get really hot. Right now it's running at 81C. So, which is, I mean, that's warm, but I'm in the middle of a game and I got all this stuff running. Yeah, it just drove me nuts. I could not figure out what the hell was causing my computer to shut off on me. I thought I had a borked Windows install or something, or a bad SSD.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it turns out that a 425 watt power supply is not enough to run all my stuff.
well, no.
I totally forgot I put it in there because I had a Thermaltake 500 watt power supply in here, and that burned up on me, like the fan locked up in it. And just to get it back up and going, I threw the power supply that my wife had in her computer in here, and I thought it was a 450. I'm like, okay, I can limp by. No, I was way fucking wrong.
Yeah, so, like, cause like you have an 8350, right?
Yeah.
So like an 8350 is kind of like a power bitch. It wants to suck it all down. But I mean, if you've got like a moderate graphics card, like a newer one, like the last 2 generations, even with that 8350, like a 500 watt should be fine. But there's like some weird Chinesium shit going on. If like your power supply was causing everything to overheat because the rails were just getting that hot.
Right, yeah, I know. It was just really messed up, and I know Vashirs are notorious for running hot. I mean, it's 125 watt CPU.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're not overclocking it though, like if you got a motherboard that isn't shit and has a decent VRM setup, if you've got an all right power supply, even 125 watts for the CPU, if you're using solid state for everything else, even with like a GPU, a 400, 500 watt should do just fine. But you have some like real Chinesium crap in there going on if that was going on.
Yeah, so the weird thing is I ran 2 GTX 660s in here prior, and I upgraded to the RTX 580, and that's when I started seeing the problems, and I'm like, 660, I mean, that's still, what, 150 watts per
Yeah, because
GPU.
there's what a 660 has a 6 pin, and so there's 75 watts from the slot and 75 watts from the 6 pin. So
Yeah.
that's 300 watts for the GPUs. Then a 125, there's 425. I mean, even if you had like 4 solid states might at full load draw 15 watts a piece. So
Right.
there's what 400 watts right there.
Yep.
But the
Yeah.
thing about it is, yeah, it's
I
crazy.
I ran that my previous Thermaltake one. I ran that for, oh god, it had to be like 7 years, and that finally died. So I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to get another one. So I went and I bought a
Yeah.
750 watt Thermaltake power supply.
So yeah, like right now I've got a 525 watt, I think, coming in the mail.
Yeah.
Which here recently I haven't really even been playing video games.
Hmm.
I've actually I've been in school for programming. So I mainly use my computer just for coding.
Reefer, did you drop the raid? Let's see if he's the one that did it. That's freaking awesome. But yeah, so you're going to school for coding now?
Yeah, like and honestly, so like I know that there's some people that talk kind of shit about boot camps, and normally it's the people that paid $200,000 for the college education. But I've been in it now for like 4 months, and I can build just about anything you'd want. Like it's the one I went to is actually a good one. It's super effective. So I know last time we talked, I was kind of like didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
Because we was talking about me like because you're in IT in the system admin part, and I was looking at that, but I went into the coding part of it, and I've learned so much. It's crazy.
There he is. Oh, don't you fucking run. You son of a... God damn it. I'm never gonna fucking get that quest. Oh, that fucking bear. I wish I could just put like a bear trap on the ground.
Get their foot caught and then just like blast them.
Well, all I have to do is take a picture of him.
Oh.
I can't get close enough because he runs. Hey Sailor, thanks for the follow.
How's work been for you?
Oh, dude, it's so
Like,
busy.
Yeah, because like I know last time we talked, you guys had been like migrating over all your tools to like work from home.
Yep. Yeah, I had to pull a freaking VPN for my entire company out of my ass in like a day. Oh, it was just rough. And then another reason why I stepped back on the streaming though is because I put a new motor in my Camaro.
You're just all kinds of like multi-talented, aren't you?
Yeah.
You sitting there making VPNs out your ass,
Yeah.
Sitting there
servers, hunting, streaming. I'm deer hunting.
Pulling Camaros out your ass, eh?
Yeah, Sailor, I'm in IT. Yep, I'm a system administrator. Yeah, so this is actually deer hunting season where I'm at right now, and I already got 2 deer, so I'm gonna be going out again this weekend. But yeah, and then so I took time off because I shit you not. So I'm working full time, keeping my company going, and then I rebuilt a 307 and put that in my Camaro. Like in a year's span here. I also renovated my kitchen and completely redid my kitchen. Like moved it from one side of the house to the other.
And you're just a busy bitch.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So it's been just crazy.
Like this year, like before COVID hit hard. So like back in like April, around that time, I was actually planning on going deer hunting for the first time this year because I'd never gone.
Okay, yeah.
I really wanted to go. And it just hit to the point so bad where it's like, because like my first time going, like you don't want to, I guess it's one of those things, just like it's easy, like if you like grew up with it, it's easy to just go by yourself. But your first time going, you don't necessarily want to go for yourself or by yourself.
Okay, yeah.
You want to kind of you want to kind of have some hand holding. That way, it doesn't ruin the experience because you're just shit like I'd be and like scare all the deer away. Uh, but all that kind of shit just shut down.
Yep. Sailor,
Like this year,
you said you were a mechanic prior to doing IT? Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. Like I was doing like like it'd be like mechanic work but slash maintenance for companies. I was like a maintenance guy working on machinery. And then I got sick of that and I'm like, I want a desk job. So but yeah, death, yeah, I took my 15-year-old kid out with me this year.
wait, you got a 15-year-old kid?
Yeah, I got a 15-year-old and a 4-year-old. Actually, on my stream, so my 4-year-old.
So like, you never mentioned that before. Like I knew you were married and all that. I didn't know that like
Yeah.
you had a kid that was almost an adult.
Yeah, he's driving now.
Oh, that's probably scary.
Oh
I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say the state you live in, but I've drove through that state this time of year, and it's not fun.
Oh, right now it's not too bad.
I mean, everything's flat, but there's so much salt on the road, and there's so much like just snow in the air. It's not fun.
Yeah. Sailor, I don't know how you worked on Porsches. They're a nightmare.
So before
any mid-engine boxer like that is, I don't know. It scared me.
So before I initially went into IT, I was like I did CNC in machines or in factories for like machines. So like I was like the person who would load parts. I would do like the quality checks. I would check the measurements and all that.
Yep,
And
the specs.
I mean,
make sure it's in tolerance.
yeah, and it's fun, but it gets boring and old. Cause like
Yeah.
so like the thing about those machines is it's fun. Like it's exciting the first like when you get a new part that you got to program in or you've got to check those tolerances. But once you get everything dialed in, it just gets so boring.
Yeah.
Where
I'm
like
Sailor, I'm a Chevy guy, so I love them, but I get what you're saying. Sensors are a pain.
the my car like so I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about cars. Everything I know about cars is because I'm a cheap asshole and I refuse to go to a mechanic, so I YouTube shit.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot of it. Shit, dude, I never rebuilt an engine in my life, and my dad was like, "Well, here, I got this." He thought it was a 327 or a 3. Was it 327? Can't remember what he thought it was now. But,
So that's the one that those are the one things that like I refuse to like. I realized I know that like if I ever needed it, I would never. At this point in my life, I don't think because I don't have the space for it. I'd never pull my own engine or transmission. Those are like the one things that I'd go to a shop for. Everything else, I'll just YouTube it and Google it and like buy the parts on Rock Auto.
yeah. No, I got the motor, and so I got the motor or like the block and then the heads, and everything was separate. Like nothing was bolted together. It was just all in pieces. And he just loaded it all up and dropped it off on my doorstep one day, and he's like, "Here, hey, I know you're having problems with your 305 and your Camaro. Why don't you go swap it out for this?" And I'm like, "Well, this thing is ratty as fuck. Like, and it was all just rusty and oily." And I'm like, "Okay, this looks like a pile." But I tore it all apart, broke it down, took all the cylinders out, took the crank out, everything, mic'd everything, made sure I got the right size bearings, rings, the whole 9 yards. I even drilled out the studs in the head and put threaded studs in it because I overcammed it. Oh yeah, I went balls to the wall on it. So even though it's a 307, but those motors, you can walk up and shoot them with a freaking gun and they'll still keep going. Yeah, ARP. Yep.
Okay, so let's be real here. What gun we talking about? A 22 or a 50 BMG?
50 BMG. You can go and blow a hole right through the side of that block, and that damn thing will just keep ticking.
Okay,
That's-
so if you want to put your money where your mouth is, I know a guy with 50 BMG.
No, I just rebuilt it.
you
The hardest part,
you-
the hardest part was actually because I had exhaust manifolds on it before, like the cast ones that were like factory. I threw those away and I actually put 2-inch tubular headers in it, and that's where I ran into a problem. Because the headers that I ordered, they said that they were for small block Chevy, same year Camaro as mine, and I put it in there and bullshit. They hung way too low on the motor, so I had to actually take it to a guy and he built me a custom exhaust system. Oh yeah, it
yeah,
definitely go through it.
that's what I'm saying. Like if I shoot your crank with
Well,
a,
if you
with
okay, if you hit the crank and you break the crank in half, yeah, it's gonna die. But if you were to just shoot a bullet hole through the side of it and maybe go through a cylinder wall, I bet you I could still get it to start.
well, I mean,
It
if you
ain't
give
gonna
me,
run the greatest, but it'll still keep going.
I mean, I drove a Thunderbird for like 2 years. That was a V6 that only was running on 4 cylinders. It'll be fine. Okay, so like
I had one of those. I had an '88 Thunderbird.
I had an 85. It was my first car. I bought it from my
Oh.
old boss, and it was ghetto as fuck. Like, and it was also like so. Like I had just learned. I was a late bloomer when it came to driving because my mom
Oh.
was. I mean, my mom was a single mom, so she was broke. We didn't have money for like. I didn't get no Sweet 16 of a car. My Sweet 16 was like a PSP, which was sweet because I got Crisis Core. And Zach's the best, and Cloud can go suck a dick. But
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So like when I learned to drive, I'd gotten I learned stick shift first because the guy who I was living with, I worked with, and he didn't want me to drive his nice truck. He had a nice truck that he had like an air suspension that would like lower and lift. It was a show truck. But he was like, I'm not going to teach you to drive on that. You're going to drive the old beat up stick shift. And I bought this like 85 Thunderbird for like $500. It was ghetto as hell. Like, and I was so bad as a driver that like when I bought it from my boss and I drove it home, I drove like 40 miles because he lived out in the sticks before I realized the parking brake was on.
Oh, nice. There go your freaking brakes in the rear.
I mean, I never changed the brakes; it was fine. So I don't think the parking brake even worked. But
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
ghetto.
Sailor, what I ended up doing is I couldn't use the original exhaust because I was going from a 3-inch downpipe off the headers, like where the collector is, and then it went down to 2.25 or 2.5, and my original pipe was only I think like 2-inch or something like that. So what I ended up doing was have the guy, and I couldn't run true dual on it either, so I had him run 2.5 underneath, like the cross member underneath the motor, and then into a 3-inch collector that runs right down the middle of the car out to a MagnaFlow dual. Yeah. But a 92 Formula Firebird, those are pretty good cars, man. I'm guessing that's a fuel injected 30, was it 305 or whatever in it? Whatever Pontiac's motor that they went with. Mine's an 84. So I know a lot about those body styles. Actually completely restored mine. Yeah, 185 horsepower. Yeah. Yeah, you were rocking, man. I had the 305 with 90 horsepower, so
Do you watch Cletus
Cletus? No.
on YouTube? You don't watch Cletus McFarland?
Oh yeah. Yeah, all them bald eagles. Yep.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Demo Ranch?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know how like often you look at YouTube because you seem like a pretty busy person with your deer hunting and your engine stuff,
Do
your
it for
IT
Dale,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. He had a he had they call it the Le Mullets, the 2.4 hour Le Mullets race recently. And
Mullets.
yeah. Because he bought that racetrack, the Freedom Factory.
Oh, I did not know that.
Okay, so you haven't watched for a while. He owns a racetrack down in Florida, and Demolition Ranch came in last place.
Oh, geez.
So there was like 21 YouTubers there, and like so he was on a team between it was him and Donut Operator. And like in the first like 10 laps, they wrecked their car, and then they got a new car, and then they went through like 6 tires.
Yeah, I haven't even done a burnout with my car yet. I mean, the motor's got maybe 300 miles on it. Oh, look at that.
I've never done a burnout, but I feel that's because I'm cheap, and I don't want to like waste tire.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not. Once it's ready, put a 527. Nice. How was your mileage after that, though?
The closest thing I did to a burnout was I did a skid in a gravel parking lot. And I did that for a bit, but I didn't want to tear up my tires because tires are expensive.
Yeah, they can get that way. I don't know. I don't want to do a burnout because I'm still in the break-in period on my motor. I got another 300 miles to go, and then I can get its first oil change. Get all the zinc additive out. Was it 12? Oh, yeah, 12 gallons per mile, yeah.
12 gallons per mile, Jesus. You
That's,
sure you ain't driving a
that's not
Hummer?
too bad. I get about, I don't know, 16?
No. 12 gallons per mile is very
Oh,
bad.
yeah, 12 gallons. Yeah, I'm thinking 12 miles. Yeah, I'm backwards. Yeah, no, that makes more sense. 12 gallons per mile, yeah. 527. I don't even know how you put a hood on that car when you're done. That'd be sticking through the freaking top of it. Oh, shit. Yeah, and that's a unibody frame, so once you hit the wall at that front end, it's done. Did it have T-tops in it? Yeah, custom call. Yeah, I put a 2-inch on mine. Just because I have a high-rise intake in it, but... Yeah, that sucks, man. Still got the car, I could use some parts.
So I mean, I don't know how redneck your area is, but like where I'm at, there's like a junkyard every 12 miles.
Yeah.
You can find parts if you go looking.
Yeah, it's starting to get hard for those 80s though. Like the 80s cars. I can find all the newer stuff, but a lot of people took the Camaros and they crushed them because they weren't really a valuable car. Like shit, 6-7 years ago, you could have picked one up for $500-600. Actually, I did. I bought one 8 years ago for exactly $500. It was a running car.
I feel like that's the thing about a lot of things, though, right? It may not be valuable at the time, but if you're smart and you hold on to it, you're gonna get a lot of money in the future.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, hell, a Ford Pinto probably goes for a bit now.
Yep. His Sailor, yeah, the 67. My dad, he has a 67 SS. So what we do is we park our cars next to each other and stuff when I'm over there. My grandpa had a 79, but he sold it I think 2 years ago. So we actually had 3 generations of Camaros. It was pretty sweet. Yeah, and then I'm imagining my boy, he'll probably get one of the newer ones. Oh, it's all fiberglass. Ooh. Yeah. They were saying when I went to go look for new doors for my car, you can't get the door panels anymore. Like you can't get the actual metal ones. Just have fiberglass doors now because they're so heavy. They keep pulling the hinges out of them. She's running low nines. Jesus Christ. Oh, what did I click? And on things I shouldn't be clicking on here. Yeah, I
So,
think I've got another set of doors in my garage actually right now that are very, very minimal on rust. It's just a little bit I think on the bottoms and that's it. And when I redo my paint job again, I'll put those doors on. But I gotta fill in the Z28 holes. Because mine is actually an RS. What were you saying, Death?
oh yeah. So when you made your like automated, you're talking about you made a tool for dealing with VMs at your job and
Yeah,
your SSH connections. What language did you use for that?
so we were using one that was called Salt. We don't use that anymore. Um, and I don't recommend that to anybody. Because we ran into a really nasty issue with it, and that we kind of did it to ourselves. Like the original guy that set it up, or guys that set it up, um, exposed a port that wasn't supposed to be exposed. Um, so, but we cleared that all up, and we actually just switched over to um, there's a open source one called Ansible, and that's all in um, XML. Well, there's like a bunch
Is
of
your
different languages, but
so I mean, networking is very important, right? Is your company currently looking to hire developers?
maybe.
No, like legit. If they are, if you could put in a word for me, I get no. Like if they are, I mean, don't necessarily just put in a word for me. Just like let me know because I'll apply.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like I'm
If I see anything pop up, I mean, I could throw it your way. Now you can
because I like
go watch our website too and see if there's anything that shows up.
because
That was a good call,
so
Sailor, for dropping salt.
because like I've in the past couple of months I've become really well versed and I've realized that like I'm really good at coding to the point where I learned Ruby today. Like I
Okay.
just learned Ruby. um so like if you guys are looking for developers, I'll apply and I'm willing to relocate. I'm kind of at that point now in my schooling to where there's not much more my school can do for me outside of just like career support.
And drop. Or not. Keep going. Shoot you right up freaking Main Street. Yeah, we actually just hired a guy that does our development. Here's a, yeah, you are the dirty guy. No joke. I've actually kind of switched roles. I still do system administration, but I'm actually kind of gearing myself towards system network engineer. So yeah, I know all about being the guy in the dirt, I guess, because their shit don't work if your shit don't work. But yeah, Death, we hired a. He's actually a full stack guy, where he does
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, no, I'm full stack. Like I
Yeah.
can do front end, back end. If you guys need like if so I don't know. So I can create a desktop. Currently, like if you needed me to create a desktop application right now, I could do it in Electron. Which is like what Discord's made out of, what like VS Code's made out of. Because it uses like JavaScript and web technologies. But if you needed me, like if the company needed me to learn a language for a particular use case, the thing about like I guess it's an analog for a lot of different industries. Once you know one thing, everything else is easier to learn. Like once you know object oriented programming or functional programming, the other languages are super easy to learn because it becomes less of an issue with knowing what the like actual concepts are, and more of just like syntax. Kind of like if you move from like where you're at right now to a different state, there's a grammar issue and like the way people talk slang. That's all the difference is. So like it's not a big deal to learn a different language and be able to develop something in it, learn some new frameworks.
Right.
But
right.
no, currently right now I'm full stack. And I can so my school has something called build weeks. And I can build an application front end, back end in a couple of days that will hit MVP, which is minimal viable product. Like I had a build week a couple of weeks ago before we went on break where we had to build a application that was basically it was a multi-user application that allowed people to like just sign up and interact with each other like Facebook.
Mhm.
But it was designed around potlucks, and I built the front end of the back end for it basically by
nice.
myself because my teammates were useless. They're retarded. So I'm full stack. I can do front end, back end, desktop, mobile.
Right. Yeah. It kind of varies. Yeah, Sailor. I deal with freaking video cameras. They're a pain. Same with wireless. All that stuff.
Wireless cameras are the worst. So like they're the most convenient to set up, but they're the worst to deal with.
Right. Yeah. We don't
They'll
deal with those.
like they just it doesn't even matter. So like I'm sure if you like got really expensive with them, where like each wireless webcam costs like $600 a piece, and then like the equipment to run them, like a Ubiquiti setup would probably be really good. But like if you wanted to save any money, they'll just randomly go down for no reason because a bird farted in the air.
The Ubiquiti cameras.
Like I from what I've seen online, and I mean I've never used them personally, but I've heard Ubiquiti is really good with their wireless stuff.
So I'll take a look at that. I took a snapshot. So yeah, I think I don't know what we're gonna do. Like our cameras, they're okay. I guess we don't really have any issues with them. But I don't know. We do everything PoE, so I don't think I'd want to monkey with any type of wireless form. Ubiquiti is great, yeah. But expensive, yeah.
Yeah, like they're super expensive, but everything I've seen online says they're really good. So like my landlord in his apartment complex to live in, when I first moved in here, he asked what I did, and I told him I did like IT.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'd love you to set up like wireless or for like cameras for me." And his ass asked me if we could get cheap light bulb cameras, like some spy shit. Like how cameras into the light bulbs, and he wanted it cheap because he said a company quoted him on like a camera setup that was like $20,000 for all the buildings.
Jeez.
And so I gave him a proposition of cheap cameras that were, I say probably 80% effective, like 80% uptime.
Right. Just some 1080p
That would,
cameras and
yeah, like cheap shit, like cheap Chinesium shit that it works. Like a couple camera, like basically cameras on every hallway, and And I told him that like these kind of cameras would be like they'd require like constant maintenance to where like people would have to go out there and check on them, you know, probably daily check-ins to make sure the cameras are functioning, but they're really cheap and that's part of it. And when this bitch, when I couldn't find, like, I feel like you watched like a movie of Spy Kids and was like, this is what I want. Like, you dumb fuck. He legitimately wanted cameras that were hidden as light bulbs so that people didn't know he was recording him. And I was like, that's not really a thing except for in weird pornos and movies. And so like when I sent him my proposition, because I wrote up a proposition for like it probably would cost him like $2,000 for everything, a couple PoE switches on each building, and wireless cameras with a couple access points, and they were cheap to where like he could pay for them and then have like a couple backup cameras in case they died. And he never responded to him. I was like, this motherfucker, he's never gonna have cameras here because he doesn't want to. He either wants the really good shit that he doesn't want to pay for, or he wants shit that just isn't available to the public. Like, contact the NSA, bro. Maybe they can hook you up with some cameras, but leave me the fuck out of it. You piss me off.
Sailor, that's not too bad. 6 school districts. I mean, you got a lot of cameras. I've seen that with firewalls too, where if I'm gonna buy, I guess essentially like a bundle of firewalls, you'll get a higher discount on them too. But I'm also certified in Fortinet, and I'm like a reseller, so that also helps too. But getting that extra $50K off your top end it's not bad. I don't know. Fortinets
Those
are
deals,
okay, but
I mean, those deals kind of make sense too, because like it comes down to like Apple. Like back in the day,
yeah,
Apple was really, really heavily invested in getting their computers into schools, even if they were losing money. Because if you think long-term investment, those students are going to know how to use Apple machines, and when they graduate, they're going to want to use Apple machines.
right, yeah.
So it's kind of like if you get a school system using all your products, you know, once they need to upgrade stuff, it'll make more sense for them to continue to buy your products instead of like resetting up the entire infrastructure.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of the developers and stuff like that, that's what they're traditionally using is like MacBook Pros and stuff like that. But
yeah, no,
there's reasons
so
for that.
no, so the thing about it is I never used Mac. Right now I'm running a Hackintosh because as a developer, so you can use Linux. And Linux is so Windows is the worst for development because in the ultimate reason for it is because of Windows does not use Bash terminal. It's not a Unix based operating system, and all the tools out there are developed around a Unix based operating system. So you've got, your terminal.
Yeah.
So Windows is the worst. Linux is theoretically Linux best, but because so many developers use Mac, a lot of the tools are developed for Mac with Linux as an afterthought. So Mac is the best for a lot of the tools out there, which is why I run a Hackintosh because, Linux will work with some finicky with them, It's not as easy, and once you start needing to like develop shit fast and like just have something that works, it makes sense to just use what works.
Right.
Like
You
back
you
when I
can
had
get away with fuck. Yep. You can get away with Windows now though because they have
Well, it's not necessarily even so like it's not even completely now the terminal stuff. Because the terminal stuff's important, but it's not everything because now there's a lot of applications that are developed that are just developed for Mac primarily and Linux and not necessarily Windows.
yeah.
Because there is the Windows subsystem for Linux that allows terminal access if you use that.
Yeah.
Which looking at it now as a developer, Before, I didn't understand exactly why they were doing that. Now, as a
Yeah.
developer, I get it because they wanted more developers to use Windows.
Yeah, it's kind of a becoming an open market. I mean, you can go honestly, you can go either route nowadays if you really wanted.
Yeah, unless you're specifically developing for Microsoft platforms, it doesn't make sense to use Windows as a developer.
Yeah. See, for me, I'm a VB coder, so and that's just because I've always had, I'm a Linux administrator, but I've always been, Windows for everything. So
Well, I mean,
VB
Visual
kind of came.
Basic is also, it makes sense because it's
Yeah.
really easy if you got to just throw something together as far as the user interface goes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like with a lot of things, once you get past that initial, because with a lot of things, you'll learn the beginning, the basics, then you have that like really high spike in the learning curve. But once you get over that learning curve, it doesn't matter what you use, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because you've gone over that hump. It's like, so what might be really fast for you to do in Visual Basic, I could have a web application up and running that does the same thing in probably less time because I've gone over that learning curve.
Right. For me, it was a really good transition though because I went from VB 6.0, like old school when I was scripting and stuff, and then I went to the newer .NET workframe, and then I went to C#, which is kind of like Java.
So I was learning Java. So my school is actually really good. So I went on a hiatus because I wanted to evaluate whether I wanted to. So like my contract with my school, based on the amount of time that I go there, determines how much I owe them. So I was in Java for the back end portion of it, and I went on hiatus. So now when I come back, I'm going to Node because their Java program was shit, and I just
Okay.
figured it'd be better to learn Java on my own. Their Node program is really good, but
Okay.
Java is
Node.
really Do what?
I hate Node. There's a whole
Why?
different reason. Like it's got its place, but the reason why I hate it is
No, why do you hate it?
because a guy that wrote a thing in Node for my backup server, he wrote like a TFTP server, and it just doesn't work anywhere but that server. So it's like stuck on CentOS 6. So now I have to come up with a solution to replace that. That's why it
But
just left a bitter taste in my mouth.
No, but that shouldn't be a thing because Node is portable.
No, I've tried. This thing does not move. I hate it so much because he's got so much crap baked into Node.
I know that you can't show me the code, but I'd love to see where he fucked up to where Node can't be ported because Node is just JavaScript Node is just a process that allows JavaScript to run outside of a web browser. So how did he fuck up so bad?
Yeah, it's just a nightmare.
But Node is great.
It's like somehow he took Node and turned it into freaking Perl. That's how bad it is.
I mean, I've never used Perl, but I've heard things about Perl.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Ruby. I didn't have to learn Ruby. The only reason I used Ruby because I'm about to start looking for jobs. And there's a lot of companies that have technical debt to where they're still going to want you to be able to support stuff. So I'm just learning to put it on my resume. Mm-hmm. Which honestly, learning Ruby, I'm like, what the fuck? Ruby is like an inbred. I don't get it.
Yeah.
No, like it's like JavaScript, but inbred. Like it doesn't make sense. So, like as I was learning Ruby earlier, I was learning about like the methods that are available on the objects within Ruby because Ruby's a lot like JavaScript, where essentially everything's an object, and it's like you don't even have to declare a variable. You can just have like quotations marks to denote a string. And you can do methods on it. It's like, what? So, like JavaScript is really loosely typed, meaning like you don't have to define your types when you define variables. There's type coercion in JavaScript, which allows types to just be whatever you tell them it's going to be. Which I think that's why I like TypeScript because I think types are important. Mm-hmm. for readability, maintainability, and also memory management. You don't want to have an integer that could be, 8 bits long as a 64-bit integer because it's going to use more memory. What the fuck is Ruby doing? like what? It confused me so much. I was like, why is this even a thing? But I'm learning it just because if like a company wants to hire me at like $120,000 a year and I need to know Ruby, I should probably know Ruby.
Yeah, we had some Ruby stuff floating around in our stuff, but we shut it down.
Yeah, no. So it's like I feel like there's a fine line between maintaining technical debt because you've got so much into it and knowing when to let it go and just move on to the next thing.
There's what's it called? Some automation tool. I can't remember which one it is, but it's really heavily reliant on Ruby on the back end.
Ruby, that's the one thing I did notice about Ruby when I was learning it today, is Ruby seems like it's a really, really good tool for quickly and efficiently being able to write out terminal commands. Like being able to like just write out shit that just works on the computer that doesn't need any kind of graphics with it, just works. It seems like it's really simple and really effective at that. But there's some other things about it that just make me go, okay, I get why everyone's moving away from it.
Hey, Death, is my stream like funky wonky, or is it?
No, it's fine. I've seen a couple times where I've seen like a hiccup, but that might be my internet connection.
No, I'm getting. I have a report saying I dropped 3 frames. So I was curious if.
Well, I mean, how many frames are you uploading a second? Or are you at like 30 or 60?
30.
So you've dropped 1/10 of a second. It's not a big deal.
No, it's not. But I did up the video because I was doing 720p. I bumped it to 1080. And after I did that, I noticed there was an issue.
Nah, it's been fine. I haven't seen. I mean, because I'm watching it right now, and I haven't seen much going on.
Okay, cool.
No, Ruby seems good. I wouldn't use it for any projects I was building, but it's nice to know.
Yeah, I mean, anything you can put in your bag of tricks is definitely a bonus for sure.
Yeah, and the one of the cool things about like learning Ruby today, because I've mainly stuck with JavaScript since I started learning it, because I felt like it was important as you're learning programming to stick with one language.
Right.
And get as much knowledge with that as possible. I learned how easy it is to learn new languages.
Right. Once you get the foundation down for one, it's pretty simple to transition.
Yeah. Like it wasn't hard today at all. I was just like, oh, that's different. And really the biggest thing that stuck out to me, like, why the fuck is it like this, is the fact you don't have to declare a variable for it to be a variable. It doesn't make sense. Like, I want to know what kind of drugs the Ruby people were smoking when they developed Ruby or designed it, because I want some of that shit. I want to live in that world where a variable is defined. Like, what? But no, it's like I'm going to learn Ruby, and after I've learned more Ruby, I'm going to do the Ruby on Rails thing, because that's the thing. Well, the whole point of knowing Ruby is so that you know the framework of Rails.
Yep.
Because like I know React right now, I know Vue, which those are the big ones. I'm never going to learn Angular unless someone's offering me 6 figures to know Angular, because Angular is just a bloated piece of shit.
I know some places that use it though.
No, there are some people that. So there's places that use it because Angular was around before React was really mature.
Yeah. Yep.
So like if you think about it in context, when companies started using Angular, it was really good because. Have you ever programmed a website or in JavaScript?
Not in Java, but just regular straight up PHP and HTML, and that was it.
So doing stuff it'd probably be this. I've never used PHP. That's something else I need to learn just for legacy code. But doing stuff in vanilla JavaScript, and I think about probably the same thing with like vanilla PHP or whatever. Doing like DOM manipulation with those kind of coding languages is very difficult on like
Yeah.
just like static like or vanilla without a framework or a library is very hard. So even though Angular is terrible, it's still better than what there was
Yeah.
when Angular came out. Which is why I think Angular got, and also I think it's also because of Google creates Angular.
Hmm.
But nowadays, if you had to choose, you'd either choose Vue or React. And React is so good, and I think Vue is better. I think that in the long run, I think Vue is going to end up being the most popular.
I'd build it in Markdown.
You build in, okay, so your HTML is super fancy, and I'm glad that you can create one button that doesn't do anything so fancy.
Can you
No,
even do buttons
so like,
in Markdown? I don't know.
So like my first month of school was so basically my first month was HTML, CSS, and like intro to JavaScript. I didn't learn about how to like manipulate stuff with JavaScript until my second month. And like once that happened, so your first week, like at my school, your first week of your second month is how to do stuff the old way. It's so verbose. Like it takes like 50 lines of code to do like 2 or 3 things. Where with React, you can do that in like 3 lines of code. And that's what makes these things so good. And it's so nice.
Right. Yep.
But they taught us that because it's important to understand the foundations of why something works in React the way it works, even though you're not directly causing it. Under the hood, once everything's compiled and created into that React application, it's doing the same thing.
I think I've pretty much killed everything over here.
So your company, do you guys use Cisco products, or are you guys like more like just generalized?
That's kind of across the board. Makes it easy.
So you've got some Cisco products, and you've got some like just generic shit.
It's not generic. I mean, it's other enterprise class.
Well,
but
I guess like okay, so from like a student's mindset, when you look at learning networking, you either do CompTIA or Cisco, right?
you do both.
Well, okay. Without being difficult, dude. Without being difficult, like assuming that I'm a person who doesn't realize that there's like more than 2 routers out there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You either, if you're looking for your first certification, there's one or two, or there's one or the other. You either learn like generalized shit with CompTIA, or you learn Cisco. And so when I say generic shit, I mean shit that's not Cisco.
Yeah, when I did mine, I did. I'm not gonna lie, man. I did both. I took Cisco classes, and I also took CompTIA ones too. But even that wouldn't cover you, honestly. But just to get your foot in the door, Cisco is typically a path that a lot of people will take.
Do you think that Cisco is better or worse? And ignoring all like the edge case use cases, like Cisco is so much better for this like one particular weird thing.
They pioneered the path, right? So they're more.
Okay, well, Walmart pioneered the path for like a lot of shit, but I'd rather go to like Food City for my meat than Walmart.
See that? Right, but you're gonna see a lot more of that in industries, or in the industry anyway. Just because there's still a lot of legacy equipment floating around out there that people can't get off of because of some niche that Cisco took over.
Ills, yeah.
No.
And that's the worst, isn't it? Like, Because like you see that shit with coding too. Like there's some things that people just, and it comes down to like you got to look at the business. And that's like one of the things that they taught us that's like the hardest to overcome. Because like they teach us, that's the difference between a boot camp and a college. If you go to college, you're learning C or you're learning Java for your 4 years.
Yeah.
And those are really old languages that aren't really. So Java's pretty popular, but the only reason why it stays as popular as it has for so long is because of Android. But Android's moved to Kotlin. And
Well,
C,
yeah.
C is not popular anymore. It is not. There's some libraries and frameworks for it that allows it to be object oriented, but C is not an object oriented language. And so, outside of like operating system development, you don't use C.
Right. Oh, that makes
So I
sense.
guess it's one. So it's like. So like, okay, as an enthusiast of network hardware, would you get a Cisco product or another product that uses like open standards?
I'd get an Arista.
I don't know what that means.
That's a
No,
so
I've seen the logo on network equipment, but I've
Yep.
never used it.
they're open source based.
Do you prefer Linux or Windows? Ignoring gaming, because for gaming, obviously you're going to prefer Windows.
It depends. Honestly, if I could do gaming on Linux, I would totally do it. But
You
you
can.
can't. Well, you can, but
No,
it's
you
not,
can.
It's not great.
That's not true.
Yeah.
When was the last time you used Linux to game?
Probably a couple of years ago.
So when I had Linux before I switched to this Hackintosh, there was not a single game that I had, with the exception of like really heavy DRM games, that I could not play on Linux because of Proton for Valve. Valve has
Right,
put
yep.
millions of dollars into building a translation layer from DirectX to Vulkan.
Yep, I know it. I know it. Oh, what the hell is it called? The
Proton.
Yeah, Proton. Yeah, I played with
No,
it.
so
I played with that a little bit, but there's other old games that just don't work. Like if you try to play like Battlefield on it, Battlefield 2, I think. Which
no, it'd work.
it's
If
an
it
old
might not
game.
work with Proton,
Mhm.
but with Wine it'd work.
It
So that's the
won't,
weird.
because I tried it. That was one of my big issues with it. Like the game would load, but the textures, it just couldn't handle like how it was doing. It would just have a black ground, and then you could see the sky. It was so funky, but that was, in its infancy too. But that game's so old now, nobody develops for it anyway. But
I don't know. I'm looking. So I feel like within the next 10 years, Microsoft will be Linux based.
well, maybe it's got a subsystem now.
I think that ultimately the outcome of all. So let's not even say Linux based. Let's just say Unix based. I think ultimately all operating systems are going to hit to that point where it's all Unix based.
Could happen.
Have you I don't know if you've ever like actually owned a Mac. The Apple's new moves with like putting ARM as they've like ditched Intel. They're just using their own processors now.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yep. But I have not owned one of those.
I think it's exciting. I've wanted a real push for ARM on the desktop, or I mean even laptop, for a while. So I think that ARM is better. So I guess looking at the architecture of stuff, x86 can only get you so far because the x86 architecture is extremely bloated with a lot of legacy stuff,
Mhm.
and it makes it kind of slow compared to what it could be. I think that Apple making this push is going to make other stuff better.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of things go ARM based too, though. Like, um, I mean, just look at all the stuff you can do with a Pi now, and that's all ARM based software.
Yeah. and so ARM is ARM is a risk based instruction set.
Hmm.
I mean, Apple their M1 processor looks really good for I mean really everything outside of playing video games. I feel like outside of legacy applications and video games, Microsoft really has no grounds to stand on.
Yeah, it's becoming more diverse and stuff like that, but
Which that's
one
not a bad thing.
one thing that Windows
Like
will always have though is um they've got their software so niched in, like enterprise
so
software
like
and stuff like that. It just
yeah, but now
doesn't run.
Microsoft's also putting everything. So that's like kind of like some of the niche stuff. But
Mhm.
so like you're talking about like Active Domain and stuff like that.
No, no. I'm talking like enterprise software. Like, so you buy some equipment from a vendor, right? Like, let's take a generator for example, and that generator has a piece of software that comes with it. I would say 9 out of 10 times that software is going to be written for Windows, and that's where they got you. So you have to, because we've had people that have like MacBooks and stuff like that, where they have to have a freaking Windows VM running in order to make that software work. But
Yeah, with like parallels or whatnot.
yeah, yep. That's why we don't have any MacBooks anymore.
Honestly, so I'd be fine. So like that, I guess that's the good thing about software development, right? If you're like for most companies, if you're a developer, most companies don't care what you're using as long as you can develop the software.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just a lot of the newer stuff coming out now is it's cross platform. Like it doesn't matter what you're running as long as you
Yeah,
have the libraries for it.
yeah. It's either cross-platform or it's web-based.
Right. Yep. Which is good,
Which,
but
yeah, web.
as of right now, I mean, we still have to rely on Windows.
I have a friend of mine who I had to explain to him a lot that there is no difference in the modern day. There is really not much of a difference between a desktop-based application and a web-based application. They can ultimately do the exact same shit.
A lot of them are web-based applications with a form around them.
Yeah, so like there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of desktop applications that are just built with a framework or a library around them, like Electron, like Discord. The Discord application on your desktop is
Mhm.
just React with
Yeah.
the Electron framework wrapped around it to where you can install it on your computer.
Yep. Well,
That's all it
that's a
is.
common thing.
But he didn't understand it. Like I had to break it to him. It's like no, and I get where he came from because he was also one of those Visual Basic. He thought the desktop meant more than it does, which
Mm,
10 years ago he was completely right, but not anymore.
right. I'm not seeing any animals here. I think I done pissed this area off enough, and
Well, what's your hunter heat look like? Like, is it all
it's
purple and
pretty
shit?
purple.
Yeah, no, they've all gone away. They're scared of you.
It's so sad. I think I'm gonna go move down to the river. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited you're still alive though.
Right? Me too.
Like I was like, oh yeah, obviously. I was thinking about like messaging you the other day, like just to check up on you,
Yeah.
because like it'd been so long since I've seen anything from you. I was like, is he dead? Like, if I'm gonna message him and his wife's gonna be like, oh, he died, and I'd be like, oh, that's fucking sad.
Don't worry, if I died, I'd post it on Facebook. So.
You're Well, I don't think we're friends on Facebook, so I should follow your Facebook instant in case like a buck kills you in hunting season. Like, nah,
Yep.
fuck this dude. He's
Yep.
got a
Yep.
got. I'm gonna shove some antlers up his ass. Fuck him.
just go on the gaming Facebook page or whatever. I usually post stuff on there. But I guarantee you if I die, I probably am not gonna post anything on there.
Yeah, no, probably not. Like, and I feel like your wife probably wouldn't either. She'd be like, "There's more important shit to deal with than responding to random people on Discord." Like, yo, is bro still alive? He's got shit to deal with.
Like putting his leg back on and
So how old are you?
me?
Yeah.
I just turned 34.
Okay. So like I was wondering, because like I mean I guess it's one of those things like black don't crack and neither do gingers. Because like I never would have thought you had a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah, he was from a prior marriage when I had him. And I had just turned 18 when he was born. Who puts these trees in the way? Jesus.
The developers.
God. But yeah, no, I was a youngin' and that marriage obviously didn't last. And go.
Our this is completely unrelated to children. Are you AWS certified?
AWS. Oh, no. You're talking Amazon?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I've used it, but I'm not certified in that.
Because like I've been thinking about startups a lot, and like if I was to create a startup, I want a team of people.
Mm.
So if I ever wanted to hire you based off your current skills, you need to get AWS certified, dude.
Mm.
If I ever got that VC funding, bruh.
Yeah, I don't think I don't mind doing stuff like that, I guess, but I don't know if I would
No,
actually.
no, honestly, like legit, that was kind of just like a joke. Like if I ever had VC funding, I'd want to hire you for your ability to actually maintain servers I owned.
Hmm. Yeah. Think
I wouldn't want to
Amazon.
use Amazon shit.
Yeah.
I would want to go out and like buy some like Dell R7s or whatever from eBay and be like, yo, make this shit work.
Yeah, just build your own setup.
Yeah, because
Make your own cloud.
I guess there's like that point where like it makes sense to just do it that way, right?
Yeah, it depends. Cloud's got its place, I guess.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is like I feel like there's that in between point to where you are so small that you don't need your own servers, but then like you hit that like crossing point, and then you hit that point where like it makes more sense to have your own servers.
Right.
But then there's probably comes that point where you get so big and your growth is so fast, it doesn't make sense to have your own servers.
Honestly, it just really depends on what you're doing with them too. So cloud platforms sound really nice up front. Oh yeah, it's like limited storage, whatever, for this amount. The problem
It
is
gets really expensive.
a lot of people don't realize if you try to take your shit off of that, you got to pay for that freaking download. You know, that's not free.
Yeah.
And that's where some of them have gimmicks like that.
Or if like you're dealing with like a say you have like a CDN and you've got like servers that are just spun up automatically in different regions,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to deal with like having servers in different regions that you just own. Like it gets. I feel like there's that sweet spot of where you have your own servers that are just great.
Oh, I totally fucking missed that one.
And then it just gets like worse.
Yeah, there's a place for it. If you're just hosting an application that people are gonna hit and maybe fill out a form or something, whatever, yeah, that's fine. But when you're running a entire infrastructure off of that, I don't know.
Yeah, like, and it also depends on the size of your database.
Yep.
Then it's not even just necessarily the size of your database. It's so I mean you could have a 1 gigabyte database for all your files. But if you're going to hit with like a billion requests a day to hit that database, then that gets expensive.
Right.
That's weird. Like it gets before you start thinking about stuff at scale. It's easy to think about, well, why do we need this person? Why do we need this kind of job? Why do we need these kind of people? But when you start thinking about stuff at scale, it's like, no, it makes sense why we need these kind of professionals because they know how to think about this kind of stuff. It's kind of like lawyers. You never think about needing lawyers who might get sued. Like your company, you guys deal with internet providing, right? With throughout your guys, and I might have forgotten, but you guys had like fiber rings in a couple areas, and you had like hosting and
Yeah,
right.
it's kind of a little bit of everything. Yeah.
So like, I mean, at your guys' scale, you guys are fine where you're at. But like, if your guys go to like nationally, and things start to scale up, it gets more complicated.
Well, big difference with us is we are a cloud, so we don't need a cloud.
Okay. Now, so assume you guys became a cloud that had a cloud in a couple of countries. What makes more sense for you guys to have your own cloud to interconnect those clouds, or to use like something like AWS or like Google's developer platforms or whatnot, like Firebase,
Nah.
to interconnect those with it?
No, we would just buy a data center.
Look at you, moneybags.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, if we were gonna do that, I mean, we would just buy a data center. We could utilize. It depends on what we're doing too. If we're offering the same services we are here. Yeah, it'd make more sense to have our own data center. But if we're doing smaller apps,
okay, so let's just
like that,
assume. Yeah, so I was about to say, so let's just assume that like you're not going full tilt in the country, but you've got a business that has some locations in that country. You need to have interconnectivity. It might make more sense than to just use a cloud provider to interconnect those things.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, they would have to. We would have to do something like that if it was going to be like that.
I mean, you guys never pay for it. You charge the fuck out of that customer to get it, but
oh yeah, we totally pass the charge on. We bill them every month for it, but we don't have that big of a reach to even have to worry about it right now. Anyway, we used to have people from India that would connect back here, and they ended up moving on because of the latency was so bad. Well, it's like, what the fuck do you expect? You're connecting from India. Of course you're gonna have latency, and there's no way we're gonna freaking build a fiber or a complete network setup just to get them their stuff in India.
Yeah, because even a fiber wouldn't work. Like if you had a direct fiber from you to their office, there would still be high latency.
Right, and even if there was a pop over there connecting back, there's always going to be that latency. There's just no way of getting around it.
You'd need to have a localized data center, and their business probably wasn't enough to where it was worth it.
No, it wasn't. I told them to go away.
I mean, that's the best thing to do.
They just.
And honestly, so this sounds bad, but a lot of the times, and you can think about this from a legit standpoint. a lot of American companies don't want to deal with Indian tech support anymore because there's that stigma. So like that's the big thing that India used to be known for was their tech support or
Yeah.
customer service. But companies don't want to deal with that anymore because there was like the double-handed thing where like, yes, we dealt with a lot of like outsourced tech support, but at the same time, a lot of companies in India popped up to scam people. So now a lot of people get scared when they hear an Indian accent on the
Right. Yeah. It does happen. Go. Go. There's a buck. Whoa, look at the antler on that. He's down.
Think about how fun this game would be if like you had like a Gatling gun set up.
Did you see all those deer though? That was a lot of deer.
Yeah, but like just like set up like a tripod with like a 50 fucking Gatling gun on it and just like mowed it.
I wish I did see that type of deer. Oh, it's right here. Deer action in the woods around here. Look at that. Oh, it's only a gold. Really? Jesus. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see deer like that. There's a lot of people I work with that see deer like that, and they win the freaking big buck prize every year, bastards. But not me. I get fucking
I mean,
six
those are
pointers.
they're probably the kind of people that pay for like the guided tours to get like to where all the big bucks are.
No,
And
it's hunt on
and they
private
just
land.
don't tell people about it.
I hunt on public land, so I get the leftovers.
You said you've gotten 2 deer this year so far?
Yeah. One was a nubbin buck and one was a doe.
Is hunting season over for you up there?
Nope, last day Sunday.
You would go back out again this week?
Yeah, I was gonna go tomorrow, but I just got too much shit I gotta do because I gotta drop my son off so he can go to his mom's, and then and that's at like 5 o'clock, and I don't want to run up to my stand in the morning, come back here at noon, and yeah, it's just a lot of sticking around. So
How many can you bag a season up there?
2.
Oh, so I mean you couldn't even get any more.
Well, so I can get 2 and my dad can get 2.
So if you got another one, you just take him under your dad.
Right. I could do that. Or I could just drive it to him.
And have him go take it.
Yeah, have him shoot it. Because he took the what did he take? He took the buck, I think, or the nubbin deer. So I still have a buck tag, and he still has a buck tag. So I'm pretty fine on what I can shoot.
It's crazy like this. So there's a couple of states from what I was looking at this year. Well, there is no limit because deer is just so like overpopulated.
Yeah, I wish that was our state. I don't know. I've heard a lot of shooting this year, but I think COVID has a lot to do with that. A lot of people are hunting because they've already burned up all their venison.
Yeah, and it's like, so like I was thinking about it. So like my ultimate goal is to like I'd like to have about 150 acres of land.
Yeah.
And who was to know if I went out there in the middle of my land and just shot a deer?
Right. That's a thing, I guess. Don't want to get busted by the DNR for that though.
Yeah, it's I guess it's where's the? Because I feel like there has to be a point where you own so much land that, and you're I guess you're at a point you're a caretaker to these animals, right? Where whether it's season or not, if you go out there and you kill an animal, you're essentially providing so much for them that doesn't matter.
I don't know. I guess I've never dealt with that before. But around here, though, I mean, you can bow hunt for I think it's like 3 4 months. So if you really wanted, you could just do that. But it's also harder bow hunting, so
Yeah.
get a crossbow.
Get a crossbow that fires at 50.
Yeah, there you go.
Have the
50 caliber arrow.
have the end of your bolt hit the firing pin on a 50 round.
Incendiary round. Yeah, there you go.
You're going to get your deer and you're going to kick it too.
I don't know if you get much of a deer. You'd probably get 2 halves.
I guess it depends. There was this one video that came out a while ago. It's just really clickbaity and unscientific, talking about how if you shot next to a deer with a 50, how it stunned them, they couldn't move. But I was like, no, that's not how that works. Fuck you.
There's a video where a guy actually did shoot a deer with a 50 caliber, and it basically ripped the whole front of the deer wide open because it was almost like an angle shot. It went in quietly, but where it comes out, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Would you consider a fifth?
What's that?
Would you consider a 50 BMG as a humane way to kill?
No.
Okay, so let's take a minute to talk about humane. Once they've had that entrance wound for that fraction of a second, will they continue to realize they're even alive?
Yes.
Okay, so if a tank, which their round is much bigger than a 50, was to shoot an animal, would they know they were still alive after that tank shell hit them?
Probably not.
Okay,
but
so we gotta find that line
if
between being cruel and being just okay, the animal's dead.
There'd be a split second, I think, that if you hit it in the body and you blew the head off, and the head separated from the body, it might still realize it's still alive. But aim is aim, fix. Thank you.
Well, okay. I guess that's an age-old debate, because I mean, and I might be wrong, but I remember watching videos about age-old medieval studies about them telling people oh, if you're conscious and you realize after you've cut your head off, blink your eyes 3 times or some shit like that. So
on Tuesday, I had the worst shot I've ever had in my entire life on a deer. I fired 2 rounds at it. One hit it in the stomach and didn't rip anything, didn't do nothing to it. It just caused it to basically have a hernia. The stomach came out, right? And then the second shot took its back leg off underneath the quarter. So Jesus. It basically had 3 legs and it's running with its stomach hanging out. I tracked the deer and my son was with me, and I tracked it, and we got to the river's edge, and I thought it went across the river. And it turns out it was laying down 10 feet away from us. It got up and ran some more, and then fell into a pile of like brush. I'm like, okay, let's just wait, because I could see there was some serious issues with the deer. I thought it was gonna die. So we waited 10 minutes, then we started approaching it. That son bitch got up and ran again for another like 50 yards, got to the river's edge, went down the bank and fell in the river and laid at the edge of the river, stuck on a log. And we got up to it and we're like, holy crap, this deer is still alive. And we got closer and closer, and then finally we're just like standing at the shore. I'm waiting for it to take its last breath, mostly because I don't want to get in the freaking water and get all wet. But no, he just laid there. He kept laying his head down, bringing it back up, and I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this. So I went down there and dispatched the deer, but I felt so bad. Like I've never had a shot that bad before.
That was the question I was about to ask you. Is like, did you feel bad about how you left it?
Right? Yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. Like I knew it was in pain and suffering.
Like, so that's
like,
the thing.
Do
like,
something about this.
So that's the thing. I feel like, and I've never gone deer hunting myself. I've wanted to.
Yeah.
But you read about it online and you see it about a lot of people who get, and I get why they'd get overexcited and want to just take that shot, but they kind of take, I guess you could say, stupid shots and leave the deer without the bottom half of their mouth, or to where they just suffer the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
For like months.
My son asked me the same thing, and he was like, "Is it better to shoot a deer in the head or in the in the chest or whatever?" I'm like, "No, don't ever shoot a deer in the head, because if you miss,
that's the thing.
That deer will live like that the rest of its life."
That's the thing. Like, if you are an amazing shot, I feel like, so there's a lot of people that want to go for like that fucking mantelpiece trophy.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if you know so this is just personal feelings. If you know for 100% you're going to hit it in this brain and just kill it, drop it immediately.
Right.
Shoot it in the head.
Yep.
Because that ultimately that's the most humane thing to do.
But yeah, you'd have to be maybe 10 yards away from the deer for even take that as a comfortable shot, even if you're the world's best marksman.
Yeah, and that also has to do with like the way the deer is, because their brain is a lot smaller than humans.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, like, if you can make that shot and get it, then get it. I guess, like, in my mindset, as far as deer goes, when I want to go hunting for deer, it's about the food.
Yep, that's how it is
Meat.
for me too.
Like, it's not about going out there to ho, I killed an animal, yippee me. It's more about I'd like to have the meat in my freezer and the jerky and whatnot.
That's why I took a doe. And this nubbin buck. I'm like, I don't really care if it's got 30 points on its head. I just need something for my freezer.
30-point buck. Well, I reached into my pack. The howitzer was in the shop. My stomach was tied into a monkey knot. I thought to myself, Betty Lou, yeah, she's the one. A combination AK-57 triple barrel Uzi heat-seeking laser guided heat-seeking shotgun.
Yeah, I have to say that's the worst shot I ever had on a deer. And prior to that, I shot a doe that was running away from me. I will never fucking do that again. Because it went right up Main Street and basically
ruined half the meat.
No, it actually didn't. We got both quarters out of it. It was just a dead shot right in the center, and it like split her legs because it was a doe, so it split her legs. But it was the mess when I had to like gut it. I was like, oh my god, this is nasty. And I had my kid with me, and I'm like, this isn't a very good way to teach him how to do this. So
that's like, this is like, hey there, bud. So this is what happens when you fuck up,
Yeah.
You shoot it up its asshole.
So
that's.
I've made the decision that I will never shoot a deer running away. It's always going to be broadside, and it's going to be in either the lungs or the heart. That's it.
Yeah, so I guess that's the thing, right? It comes with experience.
Yep.
You either hear about it from other people, or you just learn on your own. Don't make certain shots because it's not worth it at the end.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and then the other one. So my gun, for some reason, is shooting low and to the right this year. So I got to fix that this upcoming summer. But the other one I shot, it also was a stomach shot, and that one died though. It died 20 yards away from where I shot it. So that one I didn't feel so bad about.
Yeah, I guess so. Like me, like personally, you know, and I've never been out there, and I've never like had that like kind of like that moment where like, because I feel like that's the thing is like there's a lot of moments where it's like I've been searching to try to get this deer all season and I haven't seen one, so I'm sure there's like that moment where it's really tempting to just make a shot that's inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But I whenever I think about going deer hunting, it's because I want the meat, but I don't want to cause an animal to suffer.
Right. Nope, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like it's kind of like fishing. When I go fishing, because I've done fishing a lot. When oh damn it, I went to go get a drink and I'll be back on in a minute.
Okay.
I got to restart my computer because my power supply killed my graphics card.
That sucks. All right, see you in a bit. Scared all the deer out of here now. Oh, there's a whole bunch that walked through here when I first got to the spot. Making noises somewhere.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear.
All right, Viva la SSD, right? So, you know, but like when I go fishing, the goal of it isn't to just catch like a big bass or whatever. I want to eat the fish.
Right. Yep.
So
now for me, it'll kind of vary. Like, I like to do both when it comes to fishing. I usually go out and catch as much like panfish as I can. But once I've got a good pile of them, I'll throw out a bigger lure and just see if I can get like a good muskie or something like that to take a bite. It's only ever happened once. So otherwise I don't really catch anything off the bigger lures, but
yeah, for me it's all about just like getting food.
yeah. There he is, right? That's a doe. But maybe there'll be some bucks right behind her. So one thing with this game that is not accurate, like what's going on right here, you see these does. I don't know how delayed the stream is, but that's accurate. Does usually run together, but there's times where you'll see groups of deer like this, and you'll see 3 or 4 bucks running together, and I have never in my life ever seen that before. I've never seen multiple bucks and does all running together.
Oh, it's because bucks are very territorial, right? They want
they'll fight each other.
Yeah, they
So-
want a group of 20 bitches to themselves.
Yeah, so what you'll see is you'll see a bunch of does, and then you'll see one buck run in right behind them. So that's one thing that they kind of goofed up on here, I guess. But otherwise, they probably did that to make it a little bit more intriguing for the game, so you can get more bucks. But
Outside of like the weight of an animal, is there a difference between like a buck's meat and a doe's meat?
does are typically like fattier deer. Bucks are more lean. Bucks
So if
stink like
you're
hell. Like they're gross. Like especially if you get a swamp one, they're nasty. Like they stink to high heaven.
so if you're
Does
wanting like
typically
a
aren't as
fattier
bad.
meat, you go for a doe.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I shoot them both, but um, does tend to be more yieldy, I would say, than a buck. Now if you get
What
a
do you mean
really
by
big buck,
yieldy?
though, depends. So older ones with the bigger racks might actually produce more than a doe, because does are typically smaller. They're smaller than like a full size buck. I just want, man, I wish I had a grenade. I'd just throw it right there between the two.
Shit. Okay, real life speaking, would you throw a grenade in the middle of a bunch of doe?
No.
Okay, we're just trying to figure out where like the video game is and where your like moral compass is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd throw a handful of grenades.
Oh, make sure you really killed them and got like 5 pieces of jerky out of them
Right?
between the shrapnel.
Hey, at least it would be cooked when it was done.
The first time you gutted a deer, how gross was it for you?
um, I don't know. It's more different because you don't know what the hell you're doing, so you don't even know what you're looking at.
Okay, the first time you killed a deer, how bad did you feel?
My first deer that I got, I was 12 years old. I just got out of hunter safety, and I shot it with a 30-06 in the ass, in the rear, backside of the deer, not running away, but it was broadside, but the bullet went in one thigh and out the other, basically ruined the biggest parts of the deer. And we ended up tracking it all freaking night. So that sucked. That was the first
So
one
like,
I ever got.
did you feel bad about killing it or the suffering?
No, I was more excited that I got a deer as my first year.
Okay, so you feel like generally speaking, like the excitement of getting your first kill outweighs.
Yep. Then we found it, and you know, I didn't got my first deer until about 4 years ago. My dad actually did the first one for me, which is kind of typical around here. My son, he said he wanted to do one this year, but everyone I shot kind of did it for themselves, so I didn't really have much to do.
Okay, so as someone who's killed an animal, do you think that it's important for the next generation to not be so disconnected from where their food comes from?
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of like,
Especially in my house, like, um, you have to understand, if you're gonna pull the trigger, there's a penalty to that trigger.
yeah. So that's something I think that's wrong with society. Granted, I've never killed anything outside of a fish and some cockroaches, but I feel like there's a big disconnect between people realizing that like what hamburger meat is and where it comes from, and what has to happen for you to get that like spaghetti in your belly.
Yeah.
there's that big disconnect to where, and like you'll see it all the time on people like bitching on social media. Like there was this one video that came out a while ago of this guy who was hunting on land he was allowed to hunt on, and his father and his son came up and bitched to him about it. Like, why are you doing this here? And the guy was like, you need to teach your son where food comes from because it's important.
Yep. And I grew up on a farm too, so I'm very familiar with where hamburger comes from.
Yeah, like an animal has to die to give us our meat. It's not just something that just happens in the supermarket.
Need this deer to turn sideways, you son of a bitch.
I mean, you could get it in the headshot. I mean, make your shot, man. Hit it in the eye, kill its brain.
Right? Totally could, but then I'll take a score deduction on it.
Oh,
The worse you hit the deer, the lower the score, the less money you get. And I'm broke in this game.
I haven't played this game in a while.
Yeah, they changed the whole mechanism up. It used to be, it didn't matter where you shot it. It would either be a silver, gold, or diamond or whatever. But now it's shot placement.
So long, like back in the day, it was so long as like if you shot it and it was only one shot and it was the right caliber.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's like you got to get it. It's got to be legit. You can't shoot them in the head anymore either. You used to be able to just shoot them in the head. Nope, they'll dock you points, and you'll go from a gold to a freaking bronze if you do that.
Which doesn't make sense considering like the people who are like paid professionally to go out and like cull deer from lands where they're overpopulated, go out in the middle of the night with like fucking thermal scopes and shoot them in the head.
Right.
Like I watched a whole documentary on that shit. Like there's people who are like the best shooters in the world whose their entire job is to go out to like lanes that are just overpopulated in the middle of the night with thermal scopes, just like fucking one shot deer in the head to make them drop instantly and just get them off the land.
I'm kind of curious if I shoot it dead on like this at an angle downward, like or like I'm aiming, if it will deduct me. But I don't know if that's a bronze.
Well, I mean, you could have gone for a heart shot a couple of times if you felt comfortable.
Right. Then this doe is slowly creeping at me here. She's gonna spook any friggin' minute.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make your shot. You're gonna lose it. Hey, that was a clean shot.
Right? I dropped him right there.
Yep.
Well, let's go see. I'm guessing this was a silver.
I don't know. I mean, you dropped it instantly, which means it was a good shot. So
It's a silver.
you probably hit the heart and the lung, a minimum.
Oh, let's see here. Yep. Turn it right about there. So
Yep. Heart,
if I
heart
would have
and
got a
one
higher
lung.
score, it would have been it's just under gold.
But then there also comes a point in this game where it's like, it's like in real life, that would have been a perfect deer shot, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like there comes a
100%
point where it's
shot.
like just the deer itself wasn't possible of a higher score.
Oh yeah, you can't shoot more than 2 times on a deer either. Forgot about that. I guess you can shoot them straight on vital organ. Looks like I checked every box. It just wasn't a high enough
Weight or
active.
whatever however they count it. Yeah.
True. So the Yeah, it just wasn't. Another one coming up. Wasn't enough. Need a couple more points on that one. Call another one in here. With a viewfinder. That'll work.
Don't you wish it was so easy to just get up in a tree stand in the middle of the fucking prairie and kill a deer?
I wish it was like on this game when you set up a tree stand, it's just like done. Takes me like 45 minutes to move it from one tree to another. Like 10 feet away from each other.
Have you ever used a tri-point like tree stand like that?
No. For me, that would where I hunt, that would be way too heavy to carry around.
I think we were talking and you said about how like there is like you guys have pre-set up tree stands on public land.
Yeah, I have them chained to a tree. But I'm not an asshole about them. Like, I don't care if, like, bow hunters go and use them. Because that's why I put them
No.
out there, so anybody can use them. The only time I'll be an
Bro.
asshole is when I go to use that stand, there better not be anybody in it.
Have you ever came across that where you went to use it and someone was in it?
No, thank God. A lot of the people that hunt in the same spot as us know during rifle season, those stands are occupied. Bow season, it's fair game for anybody. And the other problem with them is I've got a 2-seater stand that me and my son sit in, and that just trying to move that thing around in the woods, it makes so much noise, and it's so heavy. I
It's
just gave
better to
up.
set them up beforehand.
Yeah, I just gave up trying to move it around. I was like, whatever. Chain it to the tree, put a padlock on it. If they want it, they can cut the tree down and take it. But the other one, the other stand, we could actually move around. It's a lot lighter.
Have you seen those like new like blinds that they have? Where like the outside of the blind camouflage is really good, but when you're on the inside of them,
Mhm.
you see like 100% of everything all the time.
I have something kind of like that. It's not 100%. It's almost like it looks like a screen material. And I have that going around because my older son, he has a hard time sitting still in the tree. So I put that around it to kind of mask his hand movements and stuff. And it works. Actually, it wasn't a bad investment. The one thing that I wish I would have done with it is stuck it outside before I took it out because I bought it right before hunting season, like last year.
So it really had that like factory smell on it.
Yeah, you could, and I think it was scaring deer away. So what I like to do is, anytime I buy something new, I always leave it outside for a week, just to get the odor off it and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not a bad material. It does suck when you're getting in the stand because your rifle tends to hang on it, get caught on it and stuff. But then the one I got also has leaf shaped cutouts in it too. So when the wind's
Do you
blowing,
like
it just
stick
looks
your
like
gun
leaves.
through?
Yeah. Pretty nice. Squirrels ate the shit out of it.
I hate squirrels.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out there with I've got an AR that's a 22 and put a 30 round fucking clip in it and go have some fun this summer.
Like everyone says they're so cute, but they're just tree rat.
Yeah, they're annoying. I always hear them running around and I think it's a freaking deer. Seen a freaking raccoon this year. That was cool. First time I ever seen a raccoon like 20 yards from my stand. Big fat thing. You could tell he was eating good. So that scenario that I just had, where I had the 2 does and a buck, that's realistic. That's pretty much exactly what you would find in the woods, unless there was, obviously the buck wasn't with because somebody killed it already. But
So in that situation, what shot do you make? Do you always go for the buck, or do you think about
I'd go for
what
the
deers?
because bucks are actually harder to get. Where I'm hunting.
So is it about like getting the antlers for you, or like if you're looking at like a buck and like 2 does and one of those does was the fat ass bitch and you just wanted the meat from it, what would you go for?
I'd go for the buck because they're harder to fill the tag. I see does like all the time.
How many doe tags do you get a year?
This year I got 1.
I'm like, how many can you get
How
a
many?
season?
Like if I wasn't counting tags, if I was just shooting
No,
deer.
no. Legally, how many does could you bag a year?
Just 1 this year. Yep.
Oh, so it changes every year for you?
Yeah, there's some years where if the deer population's high, you can get you can get multiple doe tags.
Have you ever thought about like going to Minnesota or whatever to have like more deer a year? I mean, I don't know. You said you're in like you're kind of like in the like middle southern part, right?
Yeah.
Of where you're at. I'm not going to say the state because doxing and shit. But
Right.
have you ever thought about like going to like the Dakotas or like Michigan or to get more?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind going on like a hunting trip like that. I think it'd be fun. But that takes time, and I've got so many other things going on. I just can't drop stuff like that and go.
Yeah. So when you retire, you're going to do it. Okay.
Yep. Yep, that's my plan.
I think it's like Pennsylvania where there's like basically no limit. There's just so many deer.
Yeah, I wonder what like Montana's like. Out there,
So that's where I want to buy land.
Montana.
It's Montana. Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have a person next to you for like 50, 60 miles.
And so like I was looking at land probably about a year ago. And you can get like an acre for less than $1,000 an acre. So like if you're willing to like
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
no, and it's super cheap because not a whole lot of people think about living in Montana.
Well,
But
the climate there is also harsher too.
well, I guess it also depends on where you're at, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
you
true.
could say that like so like where I'm initially from in Minnesota, the climate's very harsh. Like I'm from Duluth initially. And so that's right off from Lake Superior.
Yeah.
There's hills.
Yep.
And like most winters you'd get like 5 or 6 feet of snow minimum.
Yep. I've been there.
So I mean it's harsh, but it also comes down to like what is too harsh, right? If you can keep yourself fine through the couple months of it being harsh, it's not a big deal. It's kind of like now I live in Tennessee. It's hot as fuck. Like, and it's not necessarily that it's that hot as fuck. It's more about the fact that it's humid as fuck when it's hot as fuck. So like, there's a saying down here like you take a shower in May and you don't dry off until October because it's so humid. So I guess harshness is subjective, right?
Yeah, it depends. Can be.
Like if you have the proper clothing for it and you can keep the fire in your house going, harsh isn't that bad. Just like down here, if you wear like the bare minimum of clothing, you have an air conditioner in your house, it's not that bad. That was one of the weirdest things that like when I moved to Tennessee. So like the entire time I lived in Minnesota, no one had an air conditioning unit. Like the schools had them because there were so many people inside of the schools, but houses didn't have AC. It wasn't a thing. If your house is too hot, you open up a window and blew a fan because back in the day, before global warming decided to butt fuck us all, in the summer it was like during the hottest during the days it was like 70 degrees, and if there was a heat wave it was like 80.
Here.
So air conditioning is not important. But down here it's like, oh, it's summertime, so you know what that means. 99 degrees, 110 degrees with a humidity of like 100%. So you can't sweat, fuck you. And you're like, I hate myself.
Oh, fuck that moose. Didn't die.
So like my fiance, I've been talking with her for like the past 3 years about moving to Montana. And she prefers Michigan
Hmm.
because it's kind of like in between my family and hers. And so I'm a big fan of like a winter wonderland for like Christmas time. I like having snow outside
Okay, yeah.
because like I don't know if you've ever lived outside of where you live where you get snow, but there's just something really depressing about being in the middle of like winter and Christmas and it's just wet and gray outside. It's really depressing. And
Damn, why'd you have to mention that?
do what?
Tree up tomorrow.
Oh, your Christmas tree. Oh, because it's after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't know. So like I like putting up the Christmas tree. I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself a big Christian in the sense of like God is great and all this other shit, whatever. I just like Christmas, like the season itself. And down here you don't get that. And I mean honestly, it's really like you might take it for granted, but it gets kind of depressing when you don't have the four seasons. You don't have summer, spring, fall, and autumn, or fall and winter, autumn, winter. I've drank a little bit tonight. Give me a break. But no, it gets rough when like the only snow you get is like at the very end of February and it's like 2 inches. It's kind of depressing because like snow, I love snow. I don't like shoveling it, and I mean, I made money as a child shoveling my neighbor's snow, and that was cool. Like, go buy some like tacos or whatever from the local market. But that was neat. But no, snow is nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't mind the snow as much. I just hate Christmas.
Is it because it costs a lot of money?
Yes.
Okay, so no, that's normal. Ignore the financial obligations you have to
Yeah.
Christmas because you're a family man. Christmas is nice. It's fun. Family gets together if you have it. And if not, the lights are pretty.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just a season, right? You're supposed to feel good. And I know that like being the family man, it's hard to feel good when you got to spend like thousands of bucks on presents so that your kids don't hate you. But outside of that, think back to when you were a kid and you weren't spending the money, but you were getting the money, right? It's nice.
Right?
It feels good.
No, I loved Christmas when I was younger. But
Exactly.
once I got
I
my
don't
own
know.
place and my own job, yeah.
As soon as you started making money, you started realizing like, oh, I got a paycheck. I gotta buy people presents. I think that presents should be limited to children.
Yeah.
I hate I hate the idea of having to like be forced to buy presents for like your adult family members. That's stupid. Fuck them. Buy their own presents. Fuck you. But like children, yeah, get those kids presents. But outside of that, no.
And also limit it to gift cards.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I like Christmas for the season itself. So I don't have any kids. My fiance doesn't have any kids. I mean, I've put my seed inside of it for it's probably not going to happen anyways. Yeah. So, but we spoil our nieces and nephews.
Right.
We're like the uncle and aunts who like have too much money because we don't have kids, and so we spoil them and we make the parents look bad. And
Yeah.
that's a super fun role to have. Like, don't get me wrong, the parents are great because they give them food all year round. But at Christmas Day, when like we give them like the best presents because we have the disposable income, and they just look at us like, "Oh, you're so much better." It's like, "Oh yeah." Do what?
You get to send the kids home.
Yeah, exactly. So like now where we live at, my entire family. So when we first moved to Tennessee, it's because my mom met someone AOL. She is one of those online skanks back in the day, and we all moved down here. And so my brother, he married this one girl, and he has one legitimate child with her and like 3 childs. So she's a hoe, right? She has 4 different baby daddies.
Jesus.
So like there comes a point, right? Like whether you're a guy or a girl, when you've got that many different partners that have children, there's a problem. Regardless of anything else you feel, there comes a problem when like you are a parent with 4 children and each one of them has a different other parent. That's a problem, right? He married her and got her pregnant. So like he got with her. He was a virgin before he met her. So sad. Anyways, yeah, he got married. He shouldn't have. But once they got together, before they got married, their goal was to get pregnant.
Okay. Yep.
So he knocked her up.
It's not a good way to go, but
No, it's pretty fucking retarded. So I've always been like that. The uncle that had like the money. I've always just like been like, hey,